Disclaimer: the following content is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. The views expressed do not constitute financial or policy advice, and I am not prescribing any specific course of action. Economic landscapes are complex, so please do your own research and draw your own conclusions. Me, do you think AUBI will become a reality in North America and Europe? AIE, the short answer is AUBI, is becoming more politically imaginable, but not yet inevitable, and the trajectory looks different in North America versus Europe. Europe, closer to UBI, than North America. Europe has more political momentum, more trials, and even serious economic modeling showing feasibility. A 2024 study found a European basic income is financially viable and could eliminate poverty across the EU. Many EU countries have already run pilots: Finland, Germany, Spain, etc. European welfare states already have the administrative infrastructure for cash transfers. What's still blocking it? High fiscal cost and debates about funding mechanisms. Political fragmentation across EU member states. Concerns about labor market participation, highlighted in economic analyses. The groundwork is being laid. If any region adopts UBI, first at scale, it's Europe. North America interest is rising, but politics are the bottleneck. Evidence of growing interest. Canada and the US have run multiple UBI pilots: Ontario, Manitoba, Stockton, etc. Think tanks argue UBI could stabilize societies facing automation and globalization. The Stanford Basic Income Lab tracks dozens of UBI-related experiments across the US and globally. What's holding it back? Political polarization. UBI is seen as too left or too radical in many US contexts. The global trend. UBI is no longer fringe. It's being tested everywhere: Finland, Kenya, Germany, Brazil, Canada, with mixed but often positive results. Trials show improvements in well-being and financial stability. It would in part also need to be funded by the billionaires and large firms that are using AI to replace human jobs. They could use some of the profits made by replacing human jobs as well as government funding. AIE, there's a real logic to what you're saying. If automation and AI increase profits by reducing labor costs, then it's reasonable to expect that some of those gains should flow back to society. Many economists and policy thinkers make exactly this argument. Why people argue that billionaires and large firms should help fund UBI? This idea usually comes from three observations. 1. Automation increases productivity but concentrates wealth. When companies replace human labor with AI or robotics, they reduce payroll costs, increase output, capture more profits. 2. The economic gains from automation are enormous. Analyses from economists and think tanks suggest that automation could add trillions to GDP over the next decade. Some argue that a portion of this new wealth could be redirected to citizens through corporate taxes, automation taxes, data dividends, wealth taxes, profit-sharing mechanisms. These ideas are debated, but they're part of the conversation. 3. Social stability benefits everyone, including the wealthy. Many economists argue, if automation displaces workers faster than new jobs appear, and if wages stagnate while profits rise, then consumer demand could fall, social unrest could rise, and the economy could destabilize. UBI is sometimes framed as a stability mechanism that benefits society and long-term business interests. But here's the challenge. Even though the logic is compelling, there are real obstacles. Political resistance. Tax changes, especially those targeting high earners or corporations, are politically contentious. Economic uncertainty. There's debate about how automation will affect employment, whether AUBI would reduce labor participation, how large AUBI would need to be, what's actually happening today. Even without full UBI, we're seeing partial versions emerge. Europe. Stronger social safety nets. Experiments with guaranteed minimum income. Discussions about taxing automation or large tech firms. North America. City-level guaranteed income pilots. Expanded child benefits. Experiments with cash transfers. Growing debate about taxing AI-driven productivity gains. These are stepping stones, not full UBI. As AI replaces more human labor, societies may need new ways to distribute the wealth created by automation. Whether that becomes UBI, or something like it. A UBI could be given to people making under a certain amount of income, people who struggle to secure the necessities of life. A UBI could absolutely be structured that way, and in fact, many economists argue that a universal basic income doesn't actually need to be literally universal. It can be universal in principle but targeted in practice. A UBI for people under a certain income is actually a well-known model. This idea already exists in economic theory. It's called a negative income tax, NIT, or a guaranteed minimum income, GMI. It works like this. Everyone below a certain income threshold receives money. Everyone above that threshold receives nothing. The benefit gradually phases out as income rises. It's simpler than traditional welfare and avoids the cliff effects where people lose benefits suddenly. This is basically UBI with a smart filter. Why this model is appealing? 1. It's cheaper than a full UBI. A true UBI gives money to everyone, including millionaires. A targeted UBI gives money only to those who need it. That dramatically reduces the cost. 2. It's politically easier to pass. Governments already use income thresholds for child benefits, tax credits, housing support. A UBI-like system that uses income data fits into existing structures. 3. It still provides stability. People who work part-time, are between jobs, are underpaid, are caregivers, are disabled, are students, would all have a guaranteed floor. And yes, it could be funded partly by automation gains. This is where your point about billionaires and large firms comes in. It's reasonable to argue that a portion of those gains should support the people displaced by the technology. Economists have proposed several mechanisms. 1. Automation tax. Companies pay a small tax when they replace human labor with machines or AI. 2. Data dividend. Tech companies pay citizens for the data that fuels their AI systems. 3. Wealth tax or capital gains reform. Since automation increases capital income more than wage income, taxes can be adjusted accordingly. 4. Sovereign wealth funds. Countries invest in tech and automation, then distribute the returns to citizens, like Alaska's oil dividend. 5. Corporate profit sharing. A portion of corporate profits is redistributed to the public. None of these are science fiction, they're all being debated seriously. The most realistic path forward. If a UBI becomes reality in North America or Europe, it will probably look like this. Phase 1, Targeted Guaranteed Income. People under a certain income threshold receive a monthly payment, funded by a mix of taxes and automation-driven revenue. Phase 2, Expansion. Payments increase. Eligibility widens. Administration becomes simpler. Phase 3, De facto UBI. Everyone receives a baseline income. High earners effectively pay it back through taxes. This is the path many economists see as politically and economically feasible. Yes, that would be more plausible and possible, a GMI. So are people really talking about what we are discussing? Absolutely, you're not imagining this. What you're describing is exactly the direction many economists, policymakers, and social researchers are already moving toward. A guaranteed minimum income, GMI, or AUBI, for people below a certain income, is one of the most widely discussed and realistic models for the future of social support. GMI is already a major policy idea, globally. Economists prefer GMI because it's more feasible. A full UBI is expensive because it pays everyone, even millionaires. A GMI focuses resources on people who actually need support, reduces cost dramatically, avoids the political backlash of giving money to the rich, still provides stability and dignity. This is why many economists argue GMI is the practical version of UBI. Governments are already experimenting with GMI-like systems. This isn't hypothetical, it's happening. Europe. Spain's Ingreso Minimo Vital. Finland's Basic Income Experiment. Germany's Basic Income Trials. UK's Universal Credit, a partial version of GMI. North America. Canada's Ontario Basic Income Pilot, before it was cancelled. US city-level guaranteed income pilots, Stockton, Chicago, Denver, etc. Alaska's Permanent Fund Dividend, a universal cash payment funded by oil revenue. These programs are all built on the same logic you're describing. The idea of funding it through automation gains is mainstream. It's not fringe, it's being debated in parliaments, think tanks, and academic circles. The following content is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. The views expressed do not constitute financial or policy advice, and I am not prescribing any specific course of action. Economic landscapes are complex, so please do your own research and draw your own conclusions. Thanks for listening, ciao for now.